Good evening, Des Moines. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program here on webcast1live.com, coming to you every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 here in Des Moines, Iowa. Make sure that if you are tuning in, you should be going to our website, docandlefty.com. As always, we are bringing you the perspectives you love from the sides you hate. With me is my partner in crime, the big man on campus, cranky reactionary since 1980, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh. What's up, Doc?
That is correct. I am cranky and I can be reactionary.
That I know.
Oh yeah. So anyway, how you been? Doing well?
Not too bad. I thought that we should before we introduce our guest and before we kick off what should be a pretty interesting hour of discussion here on Doc and Lefty, we should probably spend a couple of minutes. We usually kind of shoot around and kind of get into the show in the first segment. We should probably spend a couple minutes talking about the shocking tragedy from last night. It's been everywhere. We're not breaking any news. We're not acting like we're breaking any news. But Robin Williams passed away last night. He had a really profound effect. It was kind of, I'm a 32, and for anybody who was born in the early 80s and was sort of starting to consume culture consciously in the early 90s, Robin Williams had a really profound effect on my generation. I'm sure it had a profound effect on your generation too.
Oh yes.
And it was a shame. And the reports are that it's a, I don't know if it's been confirmed as a suicide.
The medical examiner said it was, that he thinks it most likely was a suicide, and that's very sad. He had cut marks and had hung himself with his belt.
Yeah, and I don't know if you wanted to speak a little bit about that topic and what could have been going through his head at the time.
On the Facebook posts, and this is not scientific, it's just my Facebook post. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people saying that depression's a terrible disease. We've talked about that.
We have.
It is a terrible disease. The other thing that we've talked about a lot here on the show is it's very rare you get mental illness in isolation. It's almost always accompanied by drug use of some kind, whether that's alcohol or marijuana, whatever it was. And Robin Williams had his own struggles with chemical dependency. And in fact, I believe, it wasn't too long. I can't remember exactly when, but I read that he'd gone back into rehab, not that he'd relapsed, but he needed a tune-up. Mm-hmm. And the problem is when you have a brain chemistry that has been subjected to intense drug use, it really does something to yourself. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is when Jim Belushi died,
John Belushi.
John Belushi.
Yeah, Jim's still with us.
Yeah, Jim's still. So I apologize. But when John Belushi died, there were two people that were there with him almost at the end, and one of them was Robin Williams. So can you, because they were all doing 8 balls over there wherever John had died. And so they'd come in, and Robert De Niro was the other one that had been coming in and out. And to understand exactly how close, that's a small community. High-end comics are a small community,
Right. Well, and they also share a lot of the same kinds of intense self-doubt, neurosis,
trauma.
Yeah, exactly. And turn that into humor. It's just a terrible tragedy for his family. It's a terrible tragedy for his fans, and it was really a shock when I saw that come across last night. I thought we'd spend a couple of minutes talking about it. But anyway, and that brings us to our first break.
Yeah, we got a little bit late start, but we're going to try to stay on time.
Yeah. So we're gonna come back here after the break. We're gonna introduce our special guest with us, Lacie Gwinn. I'll introduce her more properly when we come back. We're talking about all kinds of stuff, but mainly, and this one's for the ladies. No, see, and that's exactly the kind of terrible attitude that we're going to talk about.
That's right.
At the beginning of the next segment, feminism on the table today, and really we're going to be talking. I've been thinking a lot about it. I'm writing something about it for the website. We're going to unpack a few of the things about it, and we'll come back in a couple.
That's right. Don't forget
sponsors.
Facebook, Twitter, and docandlefty.com.
Leave us comments.
Yes, absolutely.
Give us ratings.
Share us. Blake and I like to be shared.
We love it, and we certainly we do need your guys' help out there to get the show further, it's out in the on the
ether.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, see, that's great minds.
Think alike.
Use obscure words and references. but no, we're out there. We need to be further out there, and the only people that I know that can help me go further than I've already gone in my life at this point is the rest of you. So please, Facebook, Twitter, share what you see, comment, yell at us if you feel like it. Go to the website docandlefty.com, read the blogs that are up there, and we'll be right back.
Petrosian Associates, how can I help you?
Bertroche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this evening. And if you're not tuning in live, please, well, I don't know how you would hear this note, but please, anyway, talk to your friends who are tuning in live, because we have a YouTube channel, and these things go up shortly after the show within a couple of hours. We certainly want you to be able to watch this later if you're so inclined. Call in if you feel like it to talk about this. We're talking about feminism. We've got a special guest for this. First time on the show, which I think gets you some kind of gift basket or other swag that Doc forgot to bring.
It will be the other swag.
Anyway, no, Lacie Gwinn is very nice to join us today. Lacie, I understand that you are what we would call a... and I'm gonna, and for folks out there listening tonight, this is, at least for me today, and because I'm getting a little bit irritated with some of the stuff that I'm seeing on the internet and social media about feminism. I'm using feminism as a word a lot. Over the last several years, it's gotten this terrible 4-letter word connotation, and I'm sick of it. So, Lacie, I would consider you kind of a feminist organizer here in town, in the community. You helped to organize, or you were in charge of the founder of Des Moines Slut Walk. We'll be talking about that here in a little bit. But tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you here this evening.
Is Lacie Gwinn. I'm a mass communication major at Grandview University. I had my first feminist experience, I would say, in the military, actually. I was in the Army for about 6 months, injured, so they discharged me. But when we were out in the field, my battle buddy and I were trying to pitch a pup tent for the first time. And so some lovely chivalrous man came over to help us, and we were all about that. Somebody helping me put up a pup tent, and my drill sergeant was furious. He was furious. He was, "Why are you guys having him help you put up your pup tent? Do you think that you can't do it because you're a woman?" And we were like, "Yeah, actually."
Okay.
My drill sergeants actually did a great job of instilling power and value into us. And so after I left the military, I didn't really think about it too much. And then I stumbled across Donnie DeFranco, kind of the feminist stereotype right there. And it just kind of started to occur to me, some of the issues that there are in the world. So the story goes.
So how have you gotten involved here in, are you originally from Des Moines? Are you from this area, or where are you from?
Yes, I'm a South Sider.
You're a South Sider.
Yes.
My office is on the South Side. You see? And Pat is no stranger to the South Side. We love the South Side.
Yes, they're absolutely wonderful.
The South Side is probably, I live on the North Side now, but the South Side is probably my one of my favorite sides of town. No, so you're from the area. You've been around. What? How have you been involved? How have you been activated? Are you trying to activate other people?
Yes. my involvement with Slut Walk, by the way, I'm not the founder. I'm just one of the organizers.
Great.
For it. Jen Allen and Heather Davis do a lot of work on that. And that's kind of my main active part of the community. Other than that, I just try and do things to educate people about issues and kind of try and one of my very basic goals is to create empathy for women towards each other, for women towards men, for men towards women. That's kind of what I do, is try and speak about it more often than not.
Sure. Now, one of the reasons that I decided that I wanted to talk about this on the show is I don't remember why. I remember seeing something somewhere. Who knows? At this point, that is the best descriptor you can get if you're on the internet for anything. I saw something somewhere and it made me think about something else. I don't remember where it came from, but I saw somebody comment on a meme that's been going around that I hadn't seen yet, about young women and you. How old are you?
I'm 27.
You're 27. Okay.
Yes.
So, that's relevant because when I was going through college, a lot of young women my age were increasingly. I was sort of shocked because I grew up with a pretty strong, a strongly feminist oriented mother who was all about the issues back in the 70s. She was working and stuff, and I don't know that she was necessarily politically active, but certainly supported the ERA and all those kinds of issues back then, right to work and all the rest of it. But these young women in my college classes weren't as, like I said, they were thinking feminism was this kind of like dirty word, and that they didn't want to be labeled as feminists and so on and so forth. But I saw somebody mention a meme online about young women holding up signs and taking selfies of things, so why we don't need feminism anymore. And I thought, are you kidding me?
Right.
Really, this is young women are doing this. Okay. And so I did a Google search, and you can do that. I'm not going to throw shade on these women at all. I'm just going to read some of the posts as they've posted on the internet. You can do your own Google search, folks, if you want to see this stuff. And this is not necessarily a criticism of these particular women's personal views, but it's indicative of a larger attitude. And so one of these, I don't need feminism because I don't want to politicize being underlined, my gender. I don't need feminism because real feminism is about equal opportunities and respect for women, not abortions, free birth control, and the ability to walk around like a shameless slut while damning the male population for being born. And then there have been counter memes to this. Why I need feminism. Another example: I don't need feminism because I understand the perpetrators of sex crimes know what they're doing is wrong and do it anyway. And so I want to kind of respond to some, because I'm sure that you come into this sort of resistance from young women your own age or even younger all the time. It's certainly not uncommon at this point.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and you're exactly right about that. And some of the things, like I don't want to see my gender politicized. That's something that I actually would like to see not happen as well. However, politics is one of the main movers, one of the main things that can get us to be where we need to be, to make the laws to keep us safe. A lot of it is cultural. A lot of the things that I'm hearing from the I don't need feminism because it's not necessarily that they're talking irrationally. It's that maybe they don't really have a good grasp of what feminism is and what it's trying to do, or they've had a bad experience with feminism or other feminists. I think it was Doc talking before you were talking before the show about it going on this horrible date with this person that was basically shaking her finger at you the entire time. Well, that kind of turns people off. And I think that when you have, the rabid feminist coming at you, it kind of makes it hard for you to go along that. And that's why when I talk about feminism, I kind of try and be, pretty empathetic about it.
Well, we're here with Lacie Gwinn, feminist extraordinary. And we're we're talking about feminism. And one of the points she made is, how you define feminism. And that's a point we're going to get back to right after this break. Don't forget to follow us on docandlefty.com, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and whatever else our lovely social media guru Jen happens to figure out that she can do. And we'll be back right after this break.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
See them here, see them there. You got bad credit? We don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. I was pumped before doing this because this was, I said, did you like my note on Facebook earlier today when I said I let you go tinfoil hat every quarter? Well, once a quarter, I actually find a topic that I don't just mail in. If you want to talk about weak links of the show, you have no further to look than this rusty chain right here. And so thank you for being the glue that holds the whole
All right, great, thanks.
thing together. You're welcome. But no, so this is this particular
this is my
topic.
tinfoil hat day.
That's right. But no, this particular topic is to me. I've considered myself a feminist for a long time basically in the sense that I couldn't understand growing up how anybody just couldn't be, right? And that's even before I had the language or the vocabulary of a person who was a self-proclaimed feminist or was even friends with other feminists or whatever. And so when we talked about some of those posts in the previous segment, when I see stuff like that, if you think that feminism has nothing to do with certain issues that have been labeled and then pigeonholed and discarded as women's issues, birth control, abortion, rape culture, the body shaming, disproportionate body praising, all that kind of stuff. If you think that all of that is all of what feminism is, or you reduce it down to equal opportunities for employment, you have no idea. You have no idea what feminism is about or what it's seeking to what kind of change it's seeking to affect in this country. And so we probably should define what kind of feminism, at least, what do you think? I mean, it's a loaded term to ask, and it's a very, very difficult question to say, what's your definition of feminism? But I'm just curious as to how you approach when somebody asks you that. Like, well, feminism, combat boots and hate dudes and don't want, and they don't shave their armpits. Well, that's not the whole story. So what is feminism to you, Lacie?
Feminism to me, it's that very simple, almost kind of cliche definition. Feminism is the radical notion that women are people. And so we need to be able to seek, sexual equality, economic equality. We need to be able to have control over our own medical decisions. And I just don't think that a lot of people understand that a lot of this is not been in our control, that we do need feminism to achieve this equality. So it is just elevating women to the point of being able to sustain themselves. And it's not necessarily man-hating. It's just that we're just trying to elevate women standing.
Okay.
Well, because that seems to be one of the problems. Right before the break, I mentioned this. One of the problems that feminism has is, how do you define it? When you start, a good case in point is Bella Knox, the porn star from, what was it, Colombia? Is that where she was from? Anyway, here she is, a feminist, a self-avowed feminist, writing apparently, feminist papers and talking about equality of men, or equality of women versus equality of men. Yet here she is paying for college doing pornography. Well, terrific. If that's how you want to pay for your college, it's your body. You do what you need to do with it. However, she was attacked from just about every side. Well, how can you do that? You're setting women back. You're objectifying yourself. And then you have people that go out there and say, but it's her body. She can do what she wants. If she wants to make money with it doing this, and there was some degrading stuff out there that she did. I mean, it's stuff, that I'm old and rather conservative. So, maybe that stuff is, hip and new with the new generation, but really is rather degrading. And I sit there and I think, is this part of the problem that there are so many different variations of what feminism is and how it's defined? And what would you do to reconcile those?
You are, and that porn actually is kind of one of those sticky issues. That didn't sound right.
Yeah, that was a tough one. We're just gonna roll past it though.
Anyway, sorry, Mom. But
oh my God, your mom's watching?
She might be.
Oh.
But there are things that you disagree with, or that there will be infighting about. Porn is one of the big ones. But it's just like any large group of people that you have with any kind of mission that you can kind of lump into one. You have different levels of liberals. You have different levels of conservatives. So of course you have, millions of feminists, and of course not all of them are going to agree on the same thing. So I think still the basic goal is the same. Underneath all the layers and infighting, the goal is still basically to have equality for women and elevation for women.
Okay. Now, one of the other concerns that often comes up is, equality among the sexes. But we've done there's been a lot of studies done. The psychiatrists do a gender study about every other day. And what we have learned is, even though the barriers are broken down, women continue to seek lower paying jobs, even though they have availability for higher paying jobs. How do you respond to that? I mean, how do you answer that?
To women taking like lower paying jobs. A lot of it, I believe, it might be self-worth. Some of it may be, we haven't been in the career world for that long. If you really think about it, we haven't been out in the workforce, so we don't have an idea of the impacts that we can truly have. We're also still expected to take care of the house, take care of the kids, and that's not a horrible thing. Motherhood, I'm not doing it, but but I have respect for it. But when women put in too many hours, sometimes they're then accused of not being a good mother because they're away from their family. So, and that's what a lot of higher paying jobs require, is that you take a lot of time away from your family and your home.
One of the things that is, and Doc, and I know that you are sensitive to this, because, and I know that you recognize this, you never hear it raised in conversation. Oh man, I just don't know how that dad can juggle all these responsibilities. It's never brought up. It's in the culture. It's not even in our vocabulary. But that sort of thing, even when it's positive, even when it is meant as a compliment to a working woman or to a wife and mother, whatever, it's, boy, she works so hard you're working 60 hours a week. I just don't know how she has time for the family. And it's a difference in the discourse that, in the grand scheme of things, that's not the worst thing in the world, as opposed to other issues that feminism seeks to deal with. But it is, I find it fascinating, and you see this in political discourse,
yes,
and corporate discourse all the time.
Well, then this next session, let's talk a little bit about how men are treated differently than women, and how that needs to change. Because I have a couple of my own stories from the opposite side, being a single parent and the rest of that. Nobody ever said anything about, geez, Pat, how do you juggle your son at home, all those extra kids, everything else, yet hold down a job as a doctor and the rest of it. Nobody ever said, geez, you're doing a great job, right? Anyway, I'm just agreeing with Lefty's point. We'll be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Find us on docandlefty.com. Oh, we forgot. Our sponsor, Des Moines Anesthesia PC.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's their number right there. They do a great job. If you're having surgery, these are great people that have them run your anesthesia. They have offices here in Des Moines and in Fort Dodge.
Yes.
And there's a number you can get a hold of them. We'll be back right after the break. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and docandlefty.com.
Bertroche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertrocheandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche and Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. You know what? This is going to be another thing that I do in the show, like when we bring us in and bumping you around a little bit. I always comment about how fast the first half hour goes, but it always seems to go really fast when we've got a great guest. We've got Lacie Gwinn here with us. We're talking about feminism today. Lacie is a mass communications major at Grandview University. How are you almost done?
I'm actually still just getting started. This will be my sophomore year this fall.
Fair enough. We're talking about issues related to feminism and some of the cultural things. And Pat, you brought up a point that you wanted to talk about how men are treated differently.
Yeah, we are.
As opposed to what, though? I guess because and maybe this is, and I'll just set this out for you because you can respond to this and you probably have a different opinion. I kind of feel like how the society treats men as kind of the baseline, not base as in poorly or good or whatever, but it's sort of like that culturally has been the norm for a really long time. Do you think that that's changed at all, and how so?
I mean, like men are the baseline for what everybody's compared to?
Sort of, because because our language is gendered that way, where if you're talking generically about someone, you say he, or that used to be more that way.
Yes.
That sort of thing is kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, the thing is cultural roles. I mean, what we're really talking about is how we're going to change our culture so that everything is more fair, right? I mean, that's the bottom line for feminism in general, right? That's a very general statement. There's two problems I see with the cultural roles and how feminism is attacking this. Is one of them is it's done at the expense of young men. Right, we have all this focus on women and women's studies and everything else, but you don't hardly ever find any boy studies. And bravo to the feminists for doing this. Bravo, great job. I'm all for it. But the boys have a tendency to get overlooked. They have a tendency to get shuttled aside. My second point about this is, if you're a single man at home raising your children, or worse yet, if you're married and you're the one that stays home and takes care of the kids, everybody gives you the big fish eye. That's what they do to you. Well, what do? Well, I stay home and take care of the kids. Well, why aren't you out making money? Honest to goodness, I have heard those conversations all over America. And it's amazing because I think to myself, I was lucky. By the time I got out of medical school, most of the kids that stayed with me and and my son was old enough to really take care of themselves. They were in school, so all I had to do is reduce my workload during the summer. I was good to go. But telling people that, hey, I was a single parent, everybody goes, what? You can't imagine that. And when you start talking to women who are single parents, everybody goes, "Oh, you poor person." But when I say I'm a single parent, nobody believes me. So those are the dichotomies that are going on, and and it's not feminism's fault. I'm not trying to lay it at the feet of that, but it's culture's fault. And so I guess my question after a 5-minute pontification, which I'm good at. So I guess my question to you, Lacie, is, do you see where a feminist approach could actually help boys and male gender roles be more acceptable when it comes to traditional female roles?
Absolutely, 100%. And this is actually something that I'm pretty passionate about. My brother, after he was discharged from the military, stayed home with the kids for a few years after that. And nobody really gave him credit. And why aren't you out making money and all that? And I think that we are seeing with this newer generation of feminists that we are supportive of men. We don't want to treat you like, if you take your kids to the park, that you're just babysitting them. Mm-hmm. I kind of find that to be disgusting because, I know how important my dad is to me. And in our family, fathers are very important. And I want to see the role of the father be uplifted and upheld too. So I do think that feminism could be good for men in that aspect, because a lot of feminists my age are starting to think like that. Like, we want to, we don't just want to shake our finger at men. We want to have our hands open for them too.
Well, and I think that, because every that's very well put, and I think every sort of cultural and political movement, and feminism certainly encompasses both of those things. It's born and it grows and it changes and it evolves over time. Mm-hmm. And so the finger shaking and the scolding and the rest of it, born out of an intense frustration with women feeling trapped in certain roles and culture and being economically deprived for a really long time, I think has evolved into sort of a more nuanced position. I guess I would say, and I work with fathers all the time in juvenile cases in the court system whose biggest complaint is they don't feel like they're taken seriously, or that they're given a fair shake to be a parent the way that the mother is. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that is legislation. But what I would say in response to these 2 points is, I think that one challenge that feminism not a challenge with feminism, but one response feminism can have, men often, and I've done it myself, and I've known many men who do this, don't feel entitled to be upset about what they perceive as something that's not fair, right? So, and don't feel entitled to have a discussion about it. And what I think that a truly liberal feminist approach is very accepting of, we're going to bring all issues to the table. We're going to have a discussion about everything. What do you think of, it's 2014, and women have come a long way. And that sounds patronizing. I don't mean it to be, but it still hasn't been a full 100 years since women got the right to vote in this country. It hasn't even been 70 years since women formally en masse entered the workforce, but women now make up over 50% of the working population in this country. And yet, recent list came out in July 2014, make up 4.8%, I think a total of 24 of the nation's Fortune 500 companies, CEOs. They're leading 4.8% of this nation's top companies. How much further do women need to come to this country to, because you said at the top of the show, get to where we need to be? Where I personally don't believe that we're there yet, but what are some of the steps you can take, and how is feminism going to affect that going forward?
I believe that a lot of what we need to do is we need to be pushy, but we also need to be patient. Mm-hmm. yes, the fact that we have only 4.8% women as CEOs of the Fortune 500 is really frustrating. But again, as you pointed out, we haven't even been in the workforce for more than 70 years. We've always been in the home, and it takes practice and getting to know, what the business world is like. So we're still learning how to navigate that. So what women need to do, as far as I'm concerned, is we need to keep going after, be educated. You don't necessarily have to be masculine in order to lead a workforce, but keep pressing in and keep going for those promotions. Work hard. You probably will have to work harder, but that is what women need to do to get to the top. And again, sharing household responsibilities, and it's not that men aren't always willing to help out. It's just that we don't ask.
Yeah, and that's a good
sometimes
point. Yeah.
Sometimes that does happen.
Yeah,
that's true.
Now we're coming up to another break. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Want to thank our sponsors, Halo Capital, Lubinas Law Firm, Bertroshan Associates.
One anesthesia.
Whew, man, I don't know why I forget
We
them.
have so many we can't keep track.
We can't keep track anymore. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and DocandLefty.com. We'll be back right after the break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We're here with our guest Lacie Gwinn talking about feminism. We're talking about all kinds of different things and its role. Because I talked about the top of the show. Not only is it seen in a lot of quarters as a four-letter word, feminism is, but it's also kind of seen as this quaint, antiquated concept. We don't like some of these people say, we don't need feminism anymore. We had the 70s. ERA failed. So feminism is this ancient kind of thing that we don't need to talk about because women are here like they haven't been here before and they're working and whatever. But I guess and Doc made a good point over the break, or wants to talk about a study that we brought up. But I wanted to ask you, so we introduced you as an organizer of the Des Moines Slut Walk, and I wanted to describe a little bit of that and what that is for, because the name is intentionally provocative. And I want you to explain to our listeners why that is and what the Slut Walk's all about.
Okay, sure. This is a question I kind of get used to answering around the time that Slut Walk comes around. The essential reason why we stick to the name Slut Walk is because we're sticking to the root of why Slut Walk became an event to begin with. In 2011, a Toronto police officer was speaking to a group of people, and he was referring to some rape cases, and he said, well, if these women weren't dressed like such sluts, this wouldn't have happened. And I'm so happy that there was an uproar about that. I guess I probably wouldn't have even expected it, but Toronto started the walk. And then from there, it became an international movement. It's kind of died down a little bit, but we're going to keep it going here in Des Moines because it's become a very important part of, it's become an important event for survivors and survivors' families. So a lot of what we do, this year we kind of scaled it back, but normally what we'll do is we'll walk about a mile. You can dress however you want. You don't have to dress like a slut, but if you want to, you can. We don't care. and we'll have a few educational speakers once we get to the Capitol. But then we open up the floor, and this is where Slut Walk becomes really important to me. When you open up the floor to allow victims to talk about their experiences, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about how they experience it, what their experience was when they reported it, if they reported it, what their experiences were with their peers or the parents that they reported it to. And you really learn that it's not the man in the bush that just jumps out and rapes a woman. And we also learn that it has absolutely nothing to do with clothing. You know, there are people who, have been raped in their pajamas, so that is a big part of what Slut Walk is for, is to advocate for victims, to end victim blaming, because, by definition, you can't ask to be raped.
Well,
that's true.
That's a good point. Well, my mind just went blank because what she said struck me so powerfully.
Yes.
And, the truth of the matter is I would deal with child rape every day. All right. Mm-hmm. And what you said held truth. If this is going to happen to you, it doesn't really matter. Would you like to throw that at me or
no?
All right. I'm just checking, but it doesn't really matter what you're wearing. If you're going to be picked out as prey, which is what these guys are, then it's going to be, you're going to get it, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. So how do you think feminism has helped rape victims over the years? And do you think it's helped with the decrease in violent rapes over a period of time? I mean, violent rapes, because there is a difference.
Yeah,
violent rapes are out of the bushes kind of thing. Or, being assaulted in your own home, or, husband versus wife rape, that kind of stuff. But a lot of times, there's incapacitation. You're drunk, or unfortunately, a lot of people in nursing homes for whatever reason. So how do you think feminism has helped with awareness of this and has helped lead to the decrease of rape overall?
I feel like it has given women a voice for the first time to talk about it very openly without judgment. What we have found with a lot of our speakers that come forward is that they have dealt with a lot of judgment. Well, now, not just within Slut Walk, but maybe as a byproduct of Slut Walk, nationwide, women are starting to come forward. And what's happening now is that we are no longer accepting, we're making men take responsibility, and it's not always men, and men are raped too. However, it is making the perpetrator take responsibility, and we're finally making rape unacceptable, whereas before it was kind of a, well, what did you do kind of thing.
Let me ask you this question, because this comes up. I once was talking to an old boss of mine who has a couple of daughters, and we were chatting about, it was right after I graduated from the University of Iowa. And the University of Iowa, over the last, if you've noticed or if you've heard anything about this, the last several months, has had an issue with sexual assaults on campus. And Sally Mason took some heat for some of her comments about sexual assaults on the UI campus, and I think it was last fall. And I was talking to my old boss about this, and I won't get into that conversation, but one of the thoughts that I've had for a really long time, and I wonder how a feminist perspective can address this. I think one of the failings of feminism's approach to sexual assault is a disproportionate, and maybe this is kind of dovetailing what you said, a disproportionate look at. And oh man, I don't mean to sound this at the victim. I don't mean to sound, the victims are the most important aspect. However, to me, this isn't a women's issue.
Right. Yep. I think I know what you're saying.
To me, this is, I think that the focus of rape should certainly be on victim services and helping the victim deal with the trauma, but the cause is disproportionately men. Mm-hmm. It's a men's issue. And I remember growing up in Northwest Iowa, and I remember talking to some of the friends in my class who were girls at the time, and when we were separated for health class. And I remember some of them talking about, well, we learned what to do if we're being threatened by somebody and take what kind of precautions. And I remember absolutely nothing about a teacher saying to me, just don't rape ladies. Maybe it's self-evident.
It seems common sense.
It seems self-evident, but that just it's one of those things that it shouldn't have to have that conversation, but we obviously need to.
Yes,
You bet.
110% agreed.
All right, we're going to take another break. We're with special guest Lacie Gwinn, who has helped organize the Slut Walk here in Des Moines, and as a avowed feminist. We want to thank all of our sponsors: Bertrosha & Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Halo Capital, and Des Moines Anesthesia. We'll be back right after this break.
Bertrosha & Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertroshandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche & Associates.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with special guest Lacie Gwinn talking about feminism and its continuing role, despite what a lot of people are, try and marginalize it. But we were talking right before the break about sexual assault. My thought and my opinion that it is less of a women's issue and more of a it shouldn't be prevention on what women should do to prevent their own rape. It should be how we keep men from doing it. And Lacie wanted to follow up on that, and I kind of went too long before we took the break. So Lacie, please address that particular topic, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I look at it very much as a men's issue. There was a great TED Talk that I got to hear, and I wish that I remembered the guy's name. But he looked at it as a men's issue, because when you are violent towards somebody that you love, it is a loss of empathy.
Okay.
You have to look at what he's going through that is making him be that kind of person. Not only that, but again, we go back to the thing we were talking about, how it's less acceptable to rape now, and that's kind of what feminism has done. But as you were saying, there was nobody took you aside and told you not to rape. So I think that it is very important for mothers and fathers and family members and friends to engage with any boys, men, and tell them, it's not that women had to prevent this, it's that men have to stop doing it, because I wouldn't say that nobody can stop rape except men, because there are women who rape too, but by and large, it is something that we need to address on the man side to make it unacceptable for men to be rapists.
And we have come, there's hope, there's a silver lining. 60 years ago, there was no such thing on the books as spousal rape. Mm-hmm. A husband could not be found guilty of raping his wife. And now that is not the case anymore. I remember doing when I was working as a law clerk, my first year of law school, I remember a case we had about retracted consent. There are still states in this country where a woman, after intercourse has begun, cannot retract consent. It's not possible. The case law, that it's a minority. There's like there were 3 states 10 years. I don't even know, or 7 years ago. Iowa's not one of those states, but where consent can be retracted at any time, doesn't matter. But that used to be the law. That used to, on the books, 60 years ago, 50, 60 years ago, it used to be that once the sex act had been initiated, good, yeah, thank you, initiated, there was no retraction, not possible, doesn't exist. And so we've come a long way with that as well. But there was something that we wanted to touch on before we go, so rapidly running out of time. We always hear about, especially with sexual assault with women, how women look, how women dress, how women act, and how a lot of that is a contributory factor to an assault. And early on, before we went on air, talking about how, as it relates to a woman's appearance, I think you said, Doc, you remember this better than I do, but
what we were actually talking about, what's appropriate. Is it appropriate to say, hi, you look good? I like your dress. Is that appropriate? Is that offensive? And I believe your response was, yeah, I don't mind that as long as you don't look at me like a T-bone steak.
Exactly.
Which brings up this, we're going to kind of go back a little bit to back to the dress issue. If you're wearing something that is designed to draw the eye, all right, there's pictures everywhere. You see these girls. I mean, the other day, a girl, and I'm telling you, if I had a daughter, I would never let her dress like this. But she had on pants so tight that, honest to goodness, you could see everything. Mm-hmm. And her had a bare midriff and no bra on. And this is a teenage girl. Now, the problem is you have adult women that dress like that. And your point about, well, don't look at me like a T-bone, I'm sure, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I just know it. But you dress very nicely, but very conservatively. I mean, you're not wearing something like that. But if you go out and you wear something like that and somebody looks at you like a T-bone, what is, I guess I'm going to ask, what does feminism say about that? Is that okay? Is that not okay? I mean, if you're dressing to be attractive, that's one thing. But if you're dressing to garner attention is something else. So I guess, what would be your stance on that? I mean, what would you do?
My stance on that is that no matter how I am packaged, I'm still a person. And you need to treat me like a person, no matter how I'm dressed. And yes, some people do want the attention. It doesn't mean that they want to be just an object. It means that they want to feel pretty sometimes. And sometimes, I tend to dress pretty conservatively. That's just me. But sometimes we just want to feel sexy for ourselves too. So my official position on that is that, again, no matter how I'm packaged, I'm still a person. Well,
and that's, I would take that a step further, or at least to echo that comment. I guess my thought on this, on that particular topic, because it's well taken, it's certainly relevant, especially in the access to media and imagery and all the rest of it that we are bombarded with every single day. But boy, you see one woman dressed a particular way. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's looking for attention, maybe not. You see another woman who's dressed the exact same way. She's not looking for attention. Not all women are the same. Not all women are thinking the same thing. You'd be wearing the exact same outfit for a completely different reason, and it's an individual thing. It's just like we have dealt with that particular issue with racism. We've dealt with that particular issue with sexism as it relates to job performance between men and women. We've dealt with that with ethnic stereotypes for different kinds of people. So just because you dress a certain way doesn't mean that you feel a particular way. And if you're going to choose how to present yourself to the world, it's, man, I mean, all hammers basically look the same. They're made by the same company. Women certainly don't. And oh
my God, you just compared women to hammers.
No, I actually drew a contrast between women and hammers.
When I drew a contrast in a particular part of my life, I really got hammered for that.
Fair enough.
So anyway, well, we want to thank Lacie for showing up. I'm just going to do a brief synopsis. Feminism takes many different forms, and it really depends on who you're talking to, what it means. Because, there's Lacie, who appears to be pretty reasonable. I really thought I was going to have to get out my conservative horns and tinfoil hat and go after it. But what Lacie says is very reasonable.
As if you could take them off.
Yes. I'm glad I did. So we want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to say right here at the end of the show?
Well, I would say, treat women like people. That's what feminism is about. Be reasonable about it. If you are a feminist, there are several different resources. You can always contact me and ask me questions. Yeah, that's about all I have today.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Lacie, for showing up today. You got any gigs going on this week?
Hey, got to make sure you get out to Altoona next Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
August 23rd.
You bet.
From 4 to 6, my band is playing at the Altoona Palooza, and then you should come down to Ed's thing on the 23rd from 7 to 9 or 10 or whenever it happens to be.
The climate change thing?
No, not our good friend Ed Fallon. My good friend Ed Bull is doing his annual tailgating thing for his election this year.
Well, for Ed Fallon, I think I'm going to, in honor of his march, for every mile he marches, I'm going to let my engine run an extra minute.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Keep your microwave running.
Yes, absolutely.
Change He's trying to change the world one step at a time, trying to drag it back just a little bit.
Well, I like more warmth. I'm happy with that. Now, Jen, do you have does Spartan Blue have something going on this weekend? Tomorrow, what is? Where? House of Bricks, 5 p.m. Spartan Blue. Jen, actually, for as tiny as she is, she's got quite a voice, so she's great to listen to. Spartan Blue tomorrow night at House of Bricks, 5 p.m. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank all of our sponsors: Halo Capital, Bertrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Des Moines Anesthesia. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Our new producer here at the end of the
Maddie,
show.
We forgot. Oh, yeah, Frank left us. He didn't like me calling him Frank.
Nope.
He said, if you can't even remember my real name, and I said, listen, I call everybody Frank.
He does.
I called Blake Frank until yesterday.
It did get old. I almost quit.
Well, and the thing is, but we have Maddie. Maddie's wonderful.
Maddie's wonderful. Best of luck to you, Ryan. We enjoyed having you these last couple of years, and I hope you do really, really well. But Lacie, thanks for sticking around and putting up with us for a whole solid hour. Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.